What happens when one of Hollywood's most disciplined men, a legend who's built his career on control, respect, and perfection, faces off against a host known for pushing guests until they snap? When Tom Cruise sits across from Joy Behar on live TV, what starts as a polite conversation about a movie turns into a brutal that shakes the entire studio. What unfolds isn't just a clash of personalities, it's a war between two forces. Trust me, this talk show won't disappoint you. It'll be worth every second of your time. It was supposed to be a simple morning on The View. The lights glowed soft and golden, the red couches spotless, the crew moving in rhythm like it was just another show. And Tom Cruise walked in. He was early, almost half an hour before call time. No assistants, no PR swarm, no noise. Just him. Crisp suit, relaxed shoulders, calm eyes. He moved with that strange mix of focus and warmth that made people stop mid-sentence. "Good morning," he called out, shaking hands as he walked through the set. He wasn't faking it. Tom Cruise had come to talk about Shockwave Protocol, his latest project, a movie about loyalty, sacrifice, and the thin line between control and chaos. But the moment Tom's name appeared on the schedule, the air around the studio changed. Everyone knew he wasn't just another guest. He was Tom Cruise, Hollywood's most disciplined man, the actor who did his own stunts, the face of professionalism itself. By the time the hosts started arriving, the room already felt different, brighter, lighter, charged. Whoopi Goldberg was first, grinning widely. "Tommy, you're too early," she laughed, hugging him like an old friend. Sarah Haynes followed, practically glowing with excitement. Even Sunny Hostin smiled more than usual. Then came Joy Behar. The atmosphere seemed more tense. She stepped onto the set in heels that hit the floor like a metronome. That smile, polite but sharp, didn't reach her eyes. "Tom, wonderful to have you," she said, extending her hand. Her tone was all surface, smooth, professional, but with an edge. Tom met her handshake without flinching. His voice was calm, genuine. "Joy, thank you. I've always admired how you keep things real." Joy gave a short laugh. One of those laughs that tells you it's not funny at all. "Oh, we do. Sometimes too real." The air tightened. Whoopi glanced at Joy. Sarah looked down at her note cards. Sonny's polite smile faded just enough to be noticed. Tom didn't break eye contact. He smiled, but there was something behind it now. Not charm, not showmanship, but awareness. The studio hummed with quiet motion, lights adjusting, microphones being clipped. But that tension between Joy and Tom was the only thing anyone felt. No one said it, but everyone knew it. The first few minutes play out like a masterclass in charm. Tom Cruise owns the table. He talks about Shockwave Protocol with the kind of energy that makes everyone lean in. Every word hits. Every laugh lands. He's sharp, funny, and humble. He tells a story about hanging off a helicopter at 8,000 feet. The audience gasps, then laughs when he says, "Yeah, my insurance guy nearly quit." The hosts love it. Whoopi beams. Sarah's laughing so hard she nearly spills her coffee. Even Sunny, always composed, cracks a grin. The control room is calm. Someone says, "This is perfect TV." But Joy Behar hasn't moved. She sits with her elbows on the table, pen resting in her hand, eyes locked on Tom like a predator watching its prey circle closer. She hasn't laughed once. Not because she isn't entertained, but because she's waiting. Waiting for him to drop his guard. And then she sees it. She leans forward. Her voice is calm, steady, but the edge in it is unmistakable. "Tom, may I ask you something?" Tom turns toward her, still smiling. "Of course, Joy." Her smile widens, thin, deliberate. "You talk a lot about values, about discipline, about mentoring young actors. All good things. But I'm curious, how do you square that with your personal life? The divorces, the organizations you're connected to?" The sentence lands like a gunshot. Whoopi mutters, "Oh, hell no." Sarah freezes. Sunny shifts in her chair. The audience, seconds ago laughing, now sits in stunned silence. Tom doesn't move. He blinks once, slow, like a soldier realizing he's just walked into an ambush. His jaw tightens just slightly. Interesting question, he says, his tone even but colder now. Joy leans back, confident she's drawn blood. She's smiling, but the kind of smile that belongs to someone who's already sure she's won. The room goes quiet. Tom sits still, hands folded, that famous calm written all over his face. But behind it, something sharper glints in his eyes. Joy, he says softly, almost too softly. That's an interesting way to frame a question. The crowd laughs nervously, unsure whether he's amused or just buying time. His tone isn't angry, it's surgical. He's studying her, calculating every move. Joy smirks, thinking she's found the crack. Well, you talk about discipline and values, she presses, voice rising just a notch. But your personal life, 3 marriages, 3 divorces, doesn't exactly scream stability, does it? The audience shifts. A few gasps. Whoopi's eyes widen. Sarah looks down. Sunny mouths. Oh no! For a moment, Tom doesn't answer. He just looks at her. Calm, steady, unreadable. Then in a voice that cuts through the silence, he says, I'm sitting, Joy. But please, go on. The timing is perfect. The line lands like a punch, and the audience bursts into laughter. Even Whoopi can't hide her grin. Joy's jaw tightens, but she tries to mask it with a smile. Tom leans forward, elbows on the table now, his gaze locked on hers. The warmth from before is gone, replaced by precision. Let's talk about that, he says. Do you believe personal failure cancels professional integrity? Or are you just enjoying the spectacle? That saying is not loud, but it's lethal. Joy blinks. The smirk falters. She wasn't expecting him to bite back, at least not like this. The tension hangs heavy in the air. The temperature in the room spikes. Joy leans forward, eyes sharp, her voice louder now. No longer polite, no longer pretending. You're part of a group many call a cult. Stop! Tom's voice slices through hers like glass. No shouting, no emotion, just ice. The air in the studio freezes. He turns his head slowly, locking eyes with her. You're not asking questions, Joy. You're staging a trial on live television. And you know it, the audience murmurs. The control room panics. Whoopi's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. Sarah looks like she's seen a car crash in slow motion. For the first time, Joy hesitates. Just for a second, her confidence flickers. She wasn't expecting to lose control this fast. Tom leans forward, elbows on the table, voice low but clear. Every word lands like a verdict. You want to judge? Fine. I've been divorced. I've made mistakes. But I show up. Every day for 40 years. Ask any crew member who's ever worked with me. They'll tell you who I really am. He pauses, lets it breathe, then hits harder. But tell me, Joy, do you ever ask yourself what gives you the right to mock people's faith for ratings? Joy laughs, high, nervous, forced. I'm a journalist, Tom. I ask tough questions. Tom doesn't blink. No, you're a host. And right now, you're proving exactly why people don't trust hosts anymore. A collective gasp ripples through the studio. Whoopi stares at the table. Sunny exhales quietly. The audience shifts uncomfortably, caught between shock and awe. The tension that had been simmering since the start finally erupts into something raw, real, and irreversible. The studio is dead quiet. You could hear the hum of the lights, the faint whir of a camera lens zooming in. Whoopi lifts a hand, trying to calm things down. All right, let's take a breath here, she starts, but her voice gets swallowed by the tension in the room. Sarah's frozen in place, her hands gripping her note cards like they're lifelines. Sunny glances away, clearly uncomfortable. Her body turns slightly from the table like she doesn't want to be part of what's about to happen. Joy forces a smile, trying to take back control. Tom, I'm just asking what everyone wants to know, she says, her tone defensive now, edges fraying. Tom looks right at her, unblinking. No, Joy, he says, his voice calm but sharp enough to cut glass. You're hiding behind everyone. You don't get to swing the bat and then claim you didn't mean to hit anyone. The words drop like hammers. Deliberate, heavy, final. Joy opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. The audience shifts, some gasping, others whispering. Whoopi glances toward the control room, mouthing cut to break, but nobody moves. Nobody dares. Tom leans forward now, both elbows on the table. His tone drops lower, controlled, steady, the sound of someone who's done playing defense. You wanted a meltdown, he says, eyes locked on her. You wanted to see if you could break me. He pauses. The silence is suffocating. But the only thing breaking here, Joy, is your illusion of control. That line hits like a thunderclap. The crowd stirs, half stunned, half on the edge of applause. A few people actually nod, as if they've been waiting years to see someone say it. Joy's face drains of color. For the first time in The View's history, the tables have turned. The host who built a career cornering guests now looks cornered herself. Small, defensive, exposed. And across from her, Tom Cruise doesn't look like a movie star anymore. He looks like a man who just took back the room. Tom stands. No sudden movements. No flare of anger. Just that slow, deliberate rise that changes the whole balance of the room. The air thickens. The cameras adjust focus like they know something big is coming. He looks at Joy, then at the audience, then straight into the camera. You know what the real problem is, Joy? His tone isn't loud, but it slices through the air. He gestures lightly toward her, then opens his palm toward the camera. It's that we've turned cruelty into entertainment, pain into ratings. We call it conversation. He pauses, eyes narrowing. But it's just exploitation. The silence that follows is suffocating. Nobody moves. Not the host, not the audience, not even the crew in the control room. One of the producers whispers, "Don't cut. Let it roll." Tom takes a breath and continues, voice steady, firm. You don't get to poke at people's private lives, twist their faith, and call it journalism. That's not brave, Joy. That's just easy. Joy tries to interrupt, her voice shaky now. Tom, I think, don't. The word hits like a gavel. His tone is low, razor sharp, final. He steps closer, his presence filling the space between them. Calm but electric. You don't get to moralize after building a career out of humiliation. He tilts his head, eyes locked on hers. You talk about accountability? Then start with yourself. Joy opens her mouth, then stops. Her eyes drop to the table. The audience doesn't breathe. Tom exhales slowly, not in anger, but in finality. The silence feels endless, heavy enough to crush the room. Then with one smooth motion, he reaches up and unclips his microphone. The click echoes through the studio like the pull of a trigger. I'm leaving, he says quietly, his voice steady and grounded. Not because I can't handle this, but because I refuse to be part of it. The audience holds their breath. Even the crew forgets to move. He turns his gaze toward the main camera, the one broadcasting live to millions of homes, and his tone softens but somehow grows stronger. If you're out there struggling, he says, remember this. Your flaws don't erase your worth. Don't let anyone turn your humanity into their headline. For a moment, nobody dares to blink. He lowers the mic, sets it carefully on the chair beside him, not dropped, not thrown, but placed, as if to remind everyone that dignity can still have grace. A single person claps from the back row. Then another, and another. Within seconds, the studio fills with applause, hesitant at first, then building, rising until it drowns out everything else. Tom turns, looks back at Joy, calm, unwavering. I hope the ratings are worth it. Her face says everything. The shock, the regret, the sudden realization of how far she's pushed. But Tom doesn't wait for an answer. He walks toward the exit. Slow, deliberate, unbroken. Each step echoes across the set, sharp against the silence between claps. When he reaches the door, he doesn't glance back again. The door closes behind him with a soft but final thud, and somehow that sound is louder than any shout, any argument, any apology that might come after. The audience stands. Some cheer, some cry, others just stare at the empty chair. The hosts sit frozen, Joy pale and speechless, Whoopi rubbing her temples, Sarah whispering, "Oh my God." In that moment, The View, a show built on constant noise, is left with something it's never had before. Absolute uncomfortable silence. By afternoon, the internet is on fire. Every major network replays the clip on loop. Tom Cruise standing up, taking off his mic, and walking out while the studio fell silent. Within hours, millions have watched it. Number sign Tom vs. Joy rockets to the top of every trending chart worldwide. Headlines hit fast and hard. Cruise walks out after Behar attack. Tom Cruise shuts down The View. The moment morning TV went too far. Comment sections turn into battlegrounds. Some defend Joy Behar, calling her fearless, a host who asks the hard questions. But most call her cruel, condescending, or proof of what's gone wrong with television. Whoopi stays silent, declining interviews. Sarah Haynes posts a single cryptic sentence on X. Some people break under pressure, others redefine it. It's liked over 1 million times. Meanwhile, Tom says nothing. No interviews, no statements, no press spin. He doesn't need to. His final words, "We've forgotten kindness," replay endlessly, stitched into reaction videos, TikToks, and montages that rack up millions of views. It becomes more than a quote. It becomes a rallying cry. Shockwave Protocol explodes at the box office. Audiences pour in, drawn not just by the film, but by the man who refused to lose his composure when it mattered most. Critics call it his most human performance yet. Back on The View, Joy's tone changes. The smirk softens. The attacks fade. She still asks sharp questions, but the edge is gone, dulled by what happened that morning. Some call it growth. Others call it damage control. But one truth is clear. Tom Cruise didn't just walk out of a TV studio. He walked out as a symbol of restraint, of dignity, of what happens when someone finally says enough. He arrived to promote a movie. He left reminding the world what respect looks like. And that's how one live interview turned into a cultural earthquake. A moment no one saw coming and no one will forget. Tom Cruise didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He stood his ground, spoke his truth, and walked away with every ounce of dignity intact, leaving behind a silence that said more than any argument ever could. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss another moment when truth collides with television.